Pierre Poilievre completely embarrasses Mark Carney in his press interview. Mark Carney also acknowledges the fact that he received a phone call from Trump and, well, it didn't go in his favor. His elbows did indeed need to go down. Also, Trump broke his silence before our prime minister did on what actually took place during that phone call. Turns out Canada now wants to be a part of the Golden Dome. At first, we were voluntold to do it. America said Canada is going to build a system, the Golden Dome system, whether they want to or not. And Carney says, we're going to have to take a look at it. And now the turns have tabled and we want to. We're fully into it. So there you go. Also, a police officer, a police chief disagrees with castle law in Canada. There's a lot to take a look at in this video, and I do hope you stick around for the full thing. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. We're starting off with a bit of an international headline, a bit of a scary international headline. So according to U.S. News, you have Russia saying it will help China overtake the United States on nuclear power. That's a little frightening. Let's have a look here.
Is China and President Xi, from an economic standpoint, operating from a position of strength?
I wouldn't call it a position of strength, but it's getting stronger considering that a lot of countries are backing away from their close relationships with the United States. I mean, if you look what's happening with India right now, India doesn't want to be looking around the room and see China on the left and Pakistan on the right and Belarus across the room. I mean, it would rather be in a group of countries, the United States and others, and strengthening trade relations there. But it will push back if it thinks it's being pushed into a corner. And so we're seeing a situation where China is becoming an attractive option because it's not the United States right now.
It seems like Russia and China have a very clear relationship. China is almost the owner, or Russia is the vassal state of China because it is so dependent on its revenues. The relationship between India and China is much more complicated. How do you see that evolving? How close can they get, given how incredibly contentious the relationship has been for decades?
Yeah, look, India considers itself a non-aligned country, and a lot of countries do in Southeast Asia too. That have said they're not going to be a U.S. ally directly or a Chinese ally. They're going to manage relations with both. I mean, you've got Indonesia, you've got Vietnam, you've got a lot of other countries.
So unfortunately, what we're seeing right now is the power shift. A lot of people, a lot of countries are shifting off of American independence. That's what Canada's trying to do because of basically Trump. People are world leaders and countries and citizens are hating on Trump and they're going elsewhere. Now, the difficulties with that, or I guess the fears with that, is that there are also shifts with military and superpowers that occur time and time again. And you're seeing China and Russia trying to have this allegiance with other countries like India and Pakistan and Turkey to really try to be able to overtake America. And I'm not going to waste a single second thinking that, well, if China and Russia and their allies became stronger than America, they wouldn't just sit idly by and not do anything about that, right? No, they're good guys, right? They would just be quiet about it, right? I don't think for a second that that's true. I think for a second that the moment they become 51% more powerful, or like the United States drops to 49 and China and their allies drop up to 51%, I think that they will try to overtake other parts of the world, and that's a big fear, which is why I've been a big advocate for Canada joining America with joint military bases on our soil so that we can increase the the good guy alliance, so we can spread our wings a little bit further, take Greenland if we have to, so that we can avoid Russia, China, and BRICS basically trying to take over the rest of the world. But enough about that stuff, and let's take a look now at high-speed rails and how they don't exist in Canada, but they exist elsewhere. So Canada is working on a high-speed rail, at least theoretically. Let's have a look.
Foresee the project, and they picked a private developer already. They've set a target of $3.9 billion for a design and development plan. It'll have station stops at Quebec City, Ottawa, Montreal, Laval, Trois-Rivières, Peterborough, and Toronto.
It'll span 1,000 kilometers with 100% electric trains that will reach speeds of 300 kilometers an hour.
But not so fast. What if there's a change in government after the next election?
This investment in Canadians, which starts right now, is going to be very difficult to turn back on.
That's not the only potential roadblock.
There are a number of externalities that impact a project of this scale.
So says the former chief planning officer for Metrolinx.
Inflation, global supply chain. The other barriers this project will face, it's the first of its kind in Canada. So from a skilled trades and upskilling that's required to be able to undertake the construction, there's also the challenge of community buy-in. If in fact that the communities that the corridor passes through, if they're not bought into the benefits that it can bring to them, even if they're not a station along the route, they understand broadly. If that's not in place, that's going to slow things down, and that cost.
Okay, so a high-speed rail in Canada seems kind of unlikely. Now, this is what happens when you don't put money into your infrastructure when you should have. Canada should have been doing this a long time ago. This right now is a high-speed rail station in China, and it's a new showcase because it's brand new and you're seeing a drone fly through it. Canada doesn't have one single high-speed rail train. China and other countries not only have more than one high-speed rail train, they have entire airports for them that are larger than our major airports in Canada, just for high-speed rail. So they have hundreds, maybe even thousands of different high-speed rail trains and all of these massive infrastructures that accommodate their population traversing across their countries. It's insane that Canada is so far behind on this. To be honest, it's actually pathetic. And this is what happens with liberals, is they don't reinvest into our infrastructure. They don't reinvest into ourselves, and we're dealt with missing out on stuff like this. So meanwhile, it's going to take a projected $3.6 billion. We know that's going to turn into $10 billion for Canada to eventually have electric high-speed rail trains. We won't see those for another 15, 20 years. Meanwhile, the rest of the world will have moved on to hovercrafts or whatever the next thing is going to be. It's just crazy how far behind Canada truly is. It's really, really sad. Anyways, I'm like a big fan of trains and that system. I've taken them across Europe, and in certain places in Europe, they're right on time. They're never late. They're never really crazy early. It's just always right on time. It's very militant and structured, and Canada has nothing that can compare to that. It's archaic. In fact, Canada is saying, hey, your gas powered car that can drive you 800 kilometers. Yeah, we're forcing you to switch to electric, which can drive you 300 kilometers. And we're not going to put in electric charging stations to accommodate that. It doesn't make any sense. It's almost retarded. Now let's take a look here at Enbridge, which is a massive oil and gas company in Canada, because they are now having the go-ahead with Algonquin Gas for transmission pipeline expansion project, which is good. More oil and gas, the better.
New this morning, Enbridge says a pipeline expansion project will go ahead as demand for natural gas in the United States continues to grow. Enbridge says it's reached a final investment decision to move forward with the expanding of the Algonquin gas transmission pipeline. Once complete, it will deliver about 75 million cubic feet of incremental natural gas per day. Enbridge expects to invest $300 million US in system upgrades. That expansion is expected to be finished in 2029.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so something is moving in the right direction for oil and gas, but everything just takes so long. Now, something that's not moving in the right direction is this police chief right here who went against Castle Law. So he says, we know the best defense for most people is to comply. Police Chief Jim McSween appears to disagree with Ford Nation's call for Castle Law. If we're going to rely on community members to take matters into their own hands, then we've all failed. Yes, you indeed have failed, but let's have a look.
Premier can make his own statement and his own mind up about that. What I would say is, as a police service, we'll follow the laws as they're written. If the laws change, we'll change with the laws. But as it stands, we know the best defense for most people is to comply. As you've just heard, a number of safety recommendations will allow for those that are victimizing members in the community to leave and not harm anyone. It sometimes can fall on deaf ears when members feel like they have to take matters into their own hands. And the only thing I'd say is, if we are going to rely on our community members to take matters into their own hands to solve this problem, we have all failed our community. I've been down at Queen's Park. I've provided comments on bail reform. So have many of my colleagues across the GTA. And here we are again talking about it. And it seems like in some cases, right, we have not moved the needle collectively, because this is not just a police issue. Unfortunately, when it becomes our issue, it's too late. So we need to do something about this issue around bail and about keeping those people off the streets that shouldn't be on the streets.
It's just pathetic how crime-ridden Canada truly is, and how little we have to be able to really defend ourselves. And meanwhile, the man that he's referring to, Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, was just on the news doing this weird theatrical stunt yesterday. I can't even believe this is real life.
So this is what I think about Crown Royal. That's what they can do. And I think everyone else should do the same thing. Start supporting companies that make whiskey here by Ontario people. That's what we need to do, is support each other. You know, somebody's going to make this even come out quicker, because it's not coming out. I know Mayor Barry wants to lie on the floor right now. No, thanks. No. I wish I could get this stuff coming out quicker, but I'll stand here until it's all.
He's losing support, so he's taking a playbook out of his brother, Rob Ford, where they would just act like total showmans like this and try to pull off these types of stunts. But of course, it's not what the eye would seem if that was your first interaction. You have an actual senator in Canada that replied to this post and said, Doug Ford says that Crown Royal parent company is dumber than a bag of hammers. It is Doug Ford that is 3 bricks short of a full load. He was willing to stop selling Ontario's largest customers electricity to teach them a lesson. He is still mad that Danielle Smith could meet with the president and he couldn't even meet with senior staff. So this is just karma working its way back full circle to Doug Ford. And it is unfortunate. It really is unfortunate what is going on. And the fact that these big companies are leaving Canada to go operate more in America. But can you blame them? I mean, if everyone in Canada had the means to just get up and leave and move their family and instantly get a job and just take their quality of life from Canada, which is not that good, and move to America, most people would. Like, a lot of people would. You'd have millions, like easily 10, 15 million people would just get up and, yeah, I'm done with this country. I want to go over to America. So imagine a business which is dealing with hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. If you're being absolutely gouged by Canada, by the Canadian government, for tax incentives, for tax purposes, for opportunities, it just makes sense sometimes to go to America. And when you're mistreated in Canada, the way you are by our government, the way I am by the government, and by the way big businesses are by the government, then why would you stick around to a place that you're not fully appreciated? You turn your back for a second, and then that's what happens on TV. The Ontario Premier pours out your liquor on the ground. I don't know. That's a little strange, right? It's a little strange. But here's what President Trump said about Canada, specifically meeting with Mark Carney. This is pretty big because, remember, elbows up, right? Elbows up. You have the Canadian Prime Minister who just won a few months ago as to become the new Prime Minister of the country on the fact that we're going to stick it to Trump. And now this is what Trump has to say about having it stuck to him.
In Huntsville space, COM will play a key role in building the Golden Dome, as you know. That's going to be a big thing. Everybody wants to be a participant in it. Missile Defense Shield, we're going to be having a Golden Dome that the likes of which nobody's ever seen before, the finest, the best. And by the way, Canada called. They want to be a part of it, and that'll be great. But Canada wants very much to be included in that, and then we're going to work something out with them, I hope. In Huntsville.
Okay, so that's what Trump said. Now let's take a look at what Mark Carney said, because, well, he's asked by a reporter what his conversation with Trump was like.
When was the last time that you exchanged messages or you spoke to the U.S. president? And it's been 4 months that you've been texts, messages.
It sounds like you're my teacher and I've been caught.
And it's been 4 months since you've been in government. How much longer do Canadians have to wait to see results from those talks with the U.S. president?
Okay, well, let's go to results. Right now, we have the best trade deal of any country in the world. Okay, those are results. We think it can be better, and we're working to make it better. But to be absolutely clear, 85% of our trade with the United States is tariff-free. Nobody else is in that position. Our average tariff is about 5.5%. That's the lowest average tariff of any country in the world. So right now we have the best, but we have real issues. Without question, we have real issues in steel, in aluminum, in forest products, in autos, potentially in pharma, copper, some other sectors. So there's these strategic sectors that the U.S. has focused on where we have issues, and as well, there will be a review of CUSMA, our trade agreement with the U.S. and Mexico, starting next year. So we need to prepare for that. We need to lay the groundwork for that review, and we need to address as rapidly as possible these strategic sectors. Okay, so that's the overall context. So we're looking now, given that we've got the best deal, to really focus in on those strategic sectors and prepare the groundwork for that broader discussion on CUSMA. That's what we're doing. I last spoke, exchange messages. I last spoke to the president Monday evening. We spoke at length on a wide range of issues, including on trade, but geopolitical, other issues, labor issues, etc. It was a good conversation. We have a team, a very senior team. The clerk of the Privy Council is there in Washington as we speak. That is meeting with the U.S. counterparts. Don't expect immediate white smoke on one of these strategic sectors, but that's the type of conversation that we're having and will continue to have as well. And this is a government that can do more than one thing at one time, as well as advancing those discussions in Europe and in Asia as we diversify our trade.
Because Canada is the most European of non-European countries. Well, yeah. I don't think that that's a good idea. I don't think that we should be looking too far to really increase our trade. I think that we should be looking to strengthen our relationships with America so that we can have more trade, make more money, and have better relations here with our neighbors, with America, the world superpower. Going to Europe is weird. It's going to backfire. It will not end well. I don't understand how the liberals don't see that, but it just is what it is. And I guess we're going to have to live through it and experience the turbulence in order for liberals to say, oh, well, that didn't work out in a few years. Anyways, speaking of being able to predict the future, being able to see ahead, not even predict, but just the foresight, do some critical thinking and say, hey, look, what's happening is not sustainable. This isn't good. Liberals called conservatives racist for this for long time, and now we're seeing the data show that this is actually not sustainable. Of course, I'm talking about immigration. The liberals have finally pumped the brakes on immigration. Will it be enough, or is it too late? And you can see how many immigrants came in on this chart per years on the very left. Obviously, my camera is covering it. Is 2005, then 2010, then 2015, kind of where my mouse is right now. And then works its way 2020, and then 2024, 2025. It absolutely spiked beyond anything we've ever seen. And this is a big problem because it's immigration, it's asylum seeking, it's temporary foreign workers. And well, here's what Pierre Poilievre just said about the temporary foreign worker program.
That's why conservatives are calling on the Carney government to permanently scrap the temporary foreign worker program and to stop issuing visas for any new temporary foreign workers coming into the country. Under this proposal, existing permits would be wound down until the program is entirely eliminated. Canadian jobs will go to Canadian workers first. It's time that Mr. Carney took the job seriously of repairing the damage that his party has done. Unfortunately, the immigration minister who destroyed the program and caused this mess is now Mark Carney's justice minister. You can believe it. He's now gone from creating a housing crisis as housing minister, an immigration crisis as immigration minister, to creating a crime crisis as justice minister. It's the same Liberal team with the same Liberal results, just a different face who's even worse than the last one. July's employment data has confirmed that what Mr. Carney's economy is doing to our youth: 14.6% unemployment, 1.6 million Canadians unemployed. According to CIBC, that the levels of employment are normally what you would see in a, quote, a recessionary period. Yet the Liberals are still bringing in the workers from abroad to take jobs from people here at home, and they are driving down wages. Nearly 3/4 of the temporary foreign workers in Canada do jobs that pay below average wages, which means that they are ultimately taking jobs from the people in Canada that need them most. These workers should not be demonized. They are being taken advantage of. Nor do we have a problem with immigrants who come here to build a family and start a life, pay their taxes, follow the rules, and integrate into the Canadian way of life. That should be the goal. But that is entirely different from what the Liberals are doing. Mark Carney is a self-described global elite, and he and his global elite friends believe in mass immigration that gives more power to corporate elites like him and less wages to the Canadian people.
Yeah, I mean, those are a lot of truth bombs right there, and it's a very big problem in Canada, and it's been added more fuel to the fire by Mark Carney, and it started with Justin Trudeau, and all we can hope is that Canada goes through an election sometime soon, and the Conservatives can go back to being on top in the polls. You're going to see a bit of a change in the news cycle. The news is probably going to start attacking Pierre Poilievre significantly more when Parliament boots up in just under 2 weeks, about 12 days from now. That's where Pierre Poilievre shines the best, is when he gets to attack and debate one-on-one other members of Parliament, specifically the Prime Minister, and it's going to be hopefully a lot of fun. A lot of people think that it's going to be the way it was with Justin Trudeau. I can tell you right now, it won't be the same as what it was with Justin Trudeau. It's a new era. It's a new chapter. We're on a new series. That was series 1. Now we're on the second series, or second season, or however you want to call it. But it should still be a good show. That, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did, it'd be super awesome for you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in another video. Bye for now.